Oh boy. Yeah. I just finished watching episode 3 of Even Given the Worthless Appraiser class, I'm actually the strongest. And yeah, this show is getting silly. Very, very silly. Let's just start out by talking about that, because yes, I do have my fair share of issues with this show, and no, it might not actually be what you think. We all know that some anime, a good portion of anime, just end up being silly. Very laid back, very simplistic, very over the top, and well, just silly, right? And in many cases, that can be fine. You don't have to have a serious show all the time. You don't have to have a super engaging narrative and characters and world. You can just have a more stupid, laid-back, fun show that you can turn your brain off to have some fun with and not take too seriously. The problem, though, with the Worthless Appraiser class anime here is that it's at one point, or multiple points through episode 3 and before, tries to take itself seriously when clearly the anime is not serious. I mean, come on now. And a second after it tries to have more of a serious tone, that doesn't land by the way, get more into that soon, it goes right back into being super silly, over the top, and almost crazy with it. And all of that just cheapens the entire thing. Like, it's okay to lean into being silly. It's okay to just be more of a goofy, laid-back, stupid show. You don't have to include these weirdly, awkwardly placed serious moments, or what you try to have be serious moments, when that's not what the show should be, or not what the show is, based on what's going on here. It's okay to just forgo all of that and just be funny, just be silly, and have fun with it. That way, it's way more enjoyable for people because you can fully lean into that one aspect, which is the focus you want to have. And that is, in all fairness, my biggest issue with this show so far, is that it's trying to mix these different elements when they really shouldn't be. With a stellar focus on silliness, I actually think it might just be better that way. Or it would actually be better that way and be more enjoyable, because you wouldn't even pretend to take it too seriously. Let's get into a few specifics though on episode 3, alright? Multiple scenes, again, due to the silliness and seriousness that I just talked about, really do not land for me and just end up feeling really contrived, really forced, and leaving you with no impact except it feeling cheap and fake. The first of this being this whole supposed setup and payoff with the mother, quote-unquote, giving her daughter, quote-unquote, and trusting her to Ain, our main character. Supposedly, this is supposed to be serious, emotional, and supposedly we are supposed to feel like this is a payoff. Like, yeah, he's worked really hard, he's shown he's a good guy, and he can take care of her daughter, quote-unquote. And that's what this scene is supposed to represent, question mark? But again, it doesn't land, because we have seen more or less nothing. The entire character journey, quote-unquote, was just a quick 2-episode montage, more or less. We didn't really get to learn anything about his character, didn't really have anything happen that was impactful or that left us with a feeling of, yeah, he's gone somewhere or he is different. Yes, the show does keep telling us he's different, and he keeps telling himself he's different, and people around him keeps telling him he's different, but how are we as the audience supposed to know? We haven't really seen him do anything too much to show he is different. We don't have a good baseline to compare to. He hasn't gone on like a long, complex character journey to really showcase how much he has changed. We're just 3 episodes in, and he's suddenly a new man. Again, that also just ends up feeling cheap, because they're trying to give you a payoff, or in this episode, many payoffs, to things they haven't really set up, haven't really developed, but still wants to pay off to the viewer to give some sort of satisfaction of, yeah, see, we did this. Did you really though, show? Did you really? I would say no. No, not really. And when you do that, especially when you do it as often as this show does, especially this episode does, it just ends up feeling really cheap. It cheapens the enjoyment of the show, because they're trying to add in serious elements where I would argue they don't belong. There are many examples of this. Just to give one more, to not spend all hour being here. Yes, it also feels cheap when Ain is having this boss fight or whatnot, and he has this moment of, oof, but what if I lose? Then what if I'm too weak? Before inevitably, oh no, I have my waifu here, I have my waifu's mother here, I'm not the same guy anymore, I'm different now, I'm stronger now. Again, all of these things, which we are just supposed to accept as truth, and we are supposed to accept that he has gone through this character journey and now he is like this, and we are supposed to feel like that is a good payoff. But again, it isn't. He hasn't, at least not that's been shown to us, and it's not justified, and therefore it feels quite cheap. It's not that I want to rant about this, it's just I really feel it's an important point to make that, yes, if this show, from the get-go, would have just foregone all of these more serious quote-unquote elements and just completely leaned into the silliness and the fun and the over-the-topness of this anime, it would have been more enjoyable so far. Again, you don't make a better show just by trying to include elements where they don't arguably belong, and that doesn't really add anything of substance or value to the viewer. Our boy Ein, though, does get himself out of the labyrinth. He defeats the boss, of course, gets out, and for some reason, the guy that left him to die together with his girlfriend in episode 1, he's at the bar, and he's drinking himself into a stupor, claiming that Ein died saving them, sacrificing himself. To which it made me wonder, why in the world are you making up this story? Why do you feel the need to do so? Couldn't you have just said, no, we ran, we tried to run, but, he couldn't keep up, he's weak, we tried to save him, but it was too many, and we had to leave him, or just make up any other story. Why did you have to make up that story of him being a hero? It doesn't really seem needed at all, and not in line with his character, since he, as we have established, is kind of an absolutely horrible, stupid antagonist, with no morals whatsoever. Ein, of course, does show up to this bar, conveniently. Don't know how he found him. Was it coincidence? Who knows? But then, of course, he says, no, they just tried to kill me basically by paralyzing me, using me as live bait, to which the bar people start attacking him, calling him a murderer, but then Ein stops them. Again, another point here which doesn't really feel that good at all. Because now we have the extremely tropey part of the episode where he's like, no, yes, he's a douche. Yes, he's really a horrible, horrible human being. But still, stop throwing things at him. Yes, he tried to kill me and have me murdered by feeding me alive to horrible monsters, demon dogs. But, he's not all that bad, really. He did let me into his party when I was worthless, even though he worked me like, a slave with no respect whatsoever. But no, let's not attack him. It's okay, thank you, he says to him, for giving me the opportunity to be in your party before. It's like, really, dude? Really? Oh, you're really making it hard for me to like this main character when he does things like this. I mean, it's okay. Let them attack this guy. He's an absolute dick. I mean, why do you have to save him? Why do you have to protect him? You don't have to be the good guy here. He has done nothing to deserve it whatsoever. Sure, you don't have to murder him yourself, but stepping in, stopping them, and even thanking him, it's like, dude, that is so bad in so many ways, and it really puts me off this character as well. It really makes me not like the main character, actually, doing things like this. First of all, it's really tropey. That's one thing I don't like, but just the whole concept of doing this, to me, makes his character seem pretty dumb. And again, that's another example of them trying to have a serious moment, but that, to me especially, does not land whatsoever and makes me very unhappy. When he walks out of the bar as well, we get another line of dialogue from random bar people that, is that really him? He has changed. Oh, okay, if you say so, anime, if you say so, I guess eventually I'll believe you if you keep telling me so. But again, actions speak louder than words, so it would have been nice to just have them communicate this more through actions that Ein does, instead of just words. But also, since we don't really have a baseline, because we only knew him before this awakening, so to speak, for 10 minutes in episode 1, it's hard to really compare how he was to how he is now. But alas, still. But thankfully though, the anime does go back to its very silly roots at the end of the episode, where he ends up saving, extremely conveniently, someone being attacked by monsters nearby, which is of course a very influential trader and a princess of the kingdom. Because of course, that just is very convenient and practical for him, so that's what happens. And of course, though I didn't see all of this coming, I did see the wives angle coming. First, Yuri saying, no, you can't hug him because he's my husband, I'm his wife. Which the princess says, no problem, I'll be his second wife. Okay, sure, why not? I expected that. So far, we're all good. But then, what I did not expect is them going silly overload to the guy, having a big attraction to his spirit eye, if you know what I mean, and asking him to marry him as well. Oh, we're going yaoi now? Oh, okay, I guess. If you say so. Why not? It's like, okay, dude, like, this is the silly I expected from this show, but you can't go from this supposedly serious scene and then like a minute later go into this extremely over-the-top silly, like, okay, we're doing double wives and a husbando now scene. Like, that's giving me whiplash if you try to pull between these aspects multiple times in one episode. As I said many times before, and I'm not going to keep stressing it, but just for the last time, it's okay to be silly. It's okay to be a dumb, silly, fun show. Just don't try to whiplash me between acting serious, pretending to be serious, only to show your silliness after the fact, and then throwing us back and forth between these two, because it isn't the most enjoyable, just gonna be honest here. Anyhow, though, if you are enjoying the video, please remember to like and subscribe. Greatly helps out the channel, so thank you. To end off this video, though, I want to talk a tiny bit about the world building and plot, well, what there is of it in this show so far. I did find it somewhat interesting that, okay, Yuri can live in his eye now, so I guess she can just go back and forth between the spirit tree and him, as long as she stays in proximity to either, and apparently she can heal him with holy water, whatnot, from the tree, and she can just give it to him, but inside him, apparently, because she heals his headache at one point. So I guess she is just inside his eye or head or body and spewing her magical water inside him to cure him whenever it's needed. So that's cool, I guess. Okay. Of course, Ein also has this new aspect to him that when he just absorbs labyrinth cores, that levels up his god eye, or spirit god eye, which is, of course, the god eye has levels, so I wouldn't have levels, you know? This is a game, after all. But that made me wonder, so the labyrinth core is the heart of the labyrinth, but when you take it out, as he does, it doesn't disappear, like the dungeon doesn't just collapse, it just stays. It's just sort of like you can go in and take out the crystal, but does that really do anything? Like, does it despawn every monster? Like, what does it do to the dungeon? Because if the dungeon would collapse because of that, which doesn't seem to be the case, of course, that would mean the world tree is fucked. But I guess it just locks off the boss room, and I would assume, since it lives off of human energy, if it doesn't have a heart anymore, then the labyrinth would just die, right? I really have no idea, because things like this should be explained more, or I would like to have it explained more, but the show really doesn't. You also get this small plot point of, yeah, Yuri has all these sisters, meaning the other world tree fragments or cores that are spread around the world, and she wants help to find them and asks Ein for help. And of course, yes, he does end up helping her, even though Yuri asks, like, you know, is that really not asking too much? No, girl, it's really not. You literally saved his life, made him probably the most OP person in the world, and have given him insane abilities and everything in between. So no, I think he owes you, to be exact here. So it's the least he can do, really. And it looks like that will be at least the main plot point for the next episode, and I assume it'll be a continual focus throughout the season of him going to all these dungeons, leveling up, getting new abilities, and then finding these sisters, and we'll see how that all ends up. Again, to me, the biggest, most interesting part of this show is how he does the battles. I mean, the animation on the boss battle wasn't terrible this episode, so I would like to see some cool OP battles, and I would like to see him utilize intelligently all the skills he picks up. But considering how many skills he's randomly picking up even in just this one episode, I don't think they're really going to put too much focus on him utilizing his arsenal in a smart, intelligent way. Instead, he'll just use random OP abilities you don't even know about to beat bosses or enemies, which won't really be interesting at all in comparison to him having a set amount of abilities we know what are, and then seeing him utilize that in a smart, intelligent way to defeat enemies instead, and then grow stronger over time. But again, as I said, this show is more silly. It wants to be fun, it wants to be laid back, it wants to be like a silly, fun power fantasy, so I really shouldn't be expecting really anything more than that, and I probably won't, to be honest. Anyhow though, what are your thoughts on this show so far? Like it, hate it, leave all those thoughts down below. What do you think of episode 3? Leave those thoughts down below as well. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, got any value of it, please remember to like and subscribe. It greatly helps out the channel. And if you want to be extra supportive, please check out my Patreon in the description down below. And become a member, would greatly appreciate that. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good day. And as always, keep watching anime, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.